Değerli katılımcılar, bu oturumun ikinci konuşması Lüksemburg'dan Doktor Juan Santiago Azagra'nın bir sunumu, ancak kendisinin son anda gelişen sağlık sorunları nedeniyle kongremize katılamadı. Bir video sunumu olacak. Robotun bariatrik ve metabolik cerrahiye sağladığı katkılar.
Presentation because for the personal and student reasons, I am not to be able to stay with us in ANTALYA today. I represent, of course, the factory Chir de Luxe from my institution, Centre Hospitalier de Luxembourg. But permits me first thank the organization of the Congress, and particularly Emre Bozkurt, secretary, for invited me. A sense of utility gives robotics its added value. This is the title of my presentation today, and for illustrate that, I take the example of metabolic and bariatric surgery. But let me start by showing you the current state of our beloved laparoscopy. And for this, I will use a phrase of a very well-known film director in the 90s, Billy Wilder. The phrase says that no good deed goes unpunished. Of course, the role of the good guy is played by laparoscopy. In laparoscopy, she has introduced minimal invasive surgery, here represented by Kurt Sam. The first guy performed appendicectomy by minimal invasive access. But this definition is not limited to a new access to perform a surgery, but it's more a concept. Is a state of mind of utility, is our manner to think about laparoscopic surgery. The pioneers at the time were so enthusiastic about laparoscopy that they even associated it with the aphorism of the Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, the minimalist and expressionist architect in the last century. For these guys, laparoscopy is less is more. Less is better. And many, many, many more. But with the time, they ended up saying that maybe the best was not always the best. The less is better. Maybe, or often better, but not simple today. 40 years later, the elephant that gives birth to a mouse. Because now we are defined the limits of laparoscopy, lack of precision, and particularly lack of coordination. The lack of coordination induces one high conversion rate, but above all, low implementation in qualified high complexity surgeries. 3 illustrative examples, but they are not the only ones. The first, in hepatic surgery, started regularly in 1993. The actual trends shows diminishing year after year, and probably in front of the 2025, probably just 19% of hepatic surgeons perform hepatic resections by laparoscopy. The second one is in gastric surgery. Today, 31 years after total gastrectomy performed by laparoscopy, in Europe, in the hands of the best gastric surgeons for cancer, just 38%, below 38%, perform total gastrectomy by laparoscopy. And here, the dramatic situation of the laparoscopic Whipple. Whipple will no longer be performed laparoscopically. A surgical endoscopy published recently shows that probably the forecast for 2026 is 0. Starting in 1984, by Pompe and Gagne, the last one is the lap Whipple, announced dead soon. Well, our Sheer Deluxe team was already claiming it in 2018. Laparoscopy. But what happens to you? And we say that laparoscopy surgery is an ephemeral stage of surgery and of minimally invasive surgery in particular. And I personally did not have to do more than 4 robotic weebles to intuitively publish this editorial, moving from laparoscopy to robotic pancreatic duodenectomy, seemed to be a natural evolution. I am not alone, because Rubin Syria published the same about liver surgery. And no longer of 6 months, Ricardo Memeo published Laparoscopy, winter is coming for you. Because to compare with the robotics is better. Less Pringle, less blood loss, less transfusion, less morbidity, etc., etc., etc. Well, my friends, without taking away the contribution of laparoscopy to surgery, because laparoscopy has definitively eliminated unnecessary laparotomy, the reality is that today, video laparoscopy is probably not the method of choice for an operation. Because robotic surgery is the actual step, is a part of innovative, progressive, and evolutionary useful continuity, is total part of minimally invasive surgery. This is the way. And it's true. It's not fancy. Robotic is eliminating laparoscopy in complex surgery, not just in hepatobiliary surgery or the complex upper GI surgery, but in colorectal too, in parietal surgery too, and probably in the metabolic and bariatric surgery too. This is the death of laparoscopy. No good deed goes unpunished. Well, back to my presentation, a sense of utility. Or, in other words, contribution of the robotics in metabolic and bariatric surgery. Well, I present you the 5 golden keys of the robot. I talk about the DVXI because it's, in my opinion, the best one for the moment. I don't have any experience and D5. First, this robot, the small software is deployed in the operative room, reduce the cost per meter square. The docking is unique, easy and fast. This robot permit, after conceptualizing surgery, introduce the real robotic surgery. No robotic assisted surgery. Everything is performed just with these robotic instruments. And with this manner, do you introduce the notion of solo surgery. Solo surgery automatically maximize coordination. It is possible to have because 3 surgeons work together with 2 consoles in the teaching hospitals. We have 2 minds, and the third one is close to the patients. With this manner, you have many minds, but just 1 hand, like this. The surgeon commands everything, optic and the 3 instruments. This is the solo surgery. It's the best, not only in the high complex surgery, but it is the best in metabolic and bariatric surgery. It is time to compare robotic surgery now with laparoscopy, and for that I propose, and without forgetting, of course, the prospective randomized studies, the majority for the moment very criticized methodologically because of the mix of the robots and the lack of the definition of surgeries. It is better, in our opinion, using the concept of utility because it's simple and fantastic. With this manner, you compare, without lying to yourself, our first surgery, for example, the metabolic and bariatric performed by laparoscopy, with the robotic. And do you consider the simplicity of the procedure? It is easy, It's easy to teach, easy to learn. With the comparative analysis, seriously, the real benchmark, comparing the safety, conversion, morbid mortality, etc. And in the end, but very, very important, implementation, because in the implementation exists the cost-effective and the sustainability. Well, we will draw your attention to the number of items, team working, etc., etc., etc. For example, for many persons, team working and happiness in the work is superfluous. I don't think that. Like to Anne Willier, Nobel Prize in Physics, this woman considers science is not only working with the machine, gas, or lasers, but it is working with people. In surgery is the same, my friends. Secondly, about comfort and physical stress. Do you mark here the young surgeons performing the fantastic surgery by laparoscopy? This guy have maybe between 35 and 40 years old, but believe me, in 20 years, these surgeons have many problems with her articulations. Here you have one surgeon. The procedure is more complex, but this guy is in comfortable positions in order to be in front of this complex surgery. Is better. Secondly, teaching and learning. Excellent teaching and learning is a prerequisite for the true implementation. And true implementation is permits to the young surgeons to perform the same surgery what you do with the mastery. About me, I live it by the Shikora recommendations regarding learning curve. For example, in Roentgen gastric bypass, the learning curve is estimated between 75 and 100 procedures. I don't think it's any different these days. But the real learning curve, the cost-effective, published here in Annals of Surgery recently, shows 500. 500 is the only one manner to obtain the goals. The goals are perioperative risk of overall morbidity, the same between the young surgeons and the master surgeons. And second term is very important because time is money, is stabilize the operative time around 45 minutes. Stabilize, in the other words, no surprising, all patients around 45 patients. In order to obtain that, the real true learning curve is 500. Here, my asymptote. My asymptote is reached with 50 patients. I'm an old surgeon, but in the other hands, the young colleagues, I observed that with 20 or 25 patients. It is clear the implementation of robotic surgery is excellent and is heading towards cost efficiency for sure. In our hospital, because this is the teaching hospital, we use metabolic and bariatric surgery to implement robotics in the hands of trainees. Talks about sustainability without associating thinking and reflecting is probably is absurd. For that, first is for define the tips and tricks of robotic surgery. And the first trick is systematization. Everything is systematized. Not only the only one instrument do you utilize in order to perform that, but the setup, and including the positioning of the patient under the table, 20 degrees proclive and tilted to the right, etc., etc. But the most important is robotic optimize and particularize certain phases of the particular operation. For example, by robot, in order to perform the short stomach in Roentgen gastric bypass, the approach of the his angle is in all cases retrogastric. Is particularly useful in patients with organomegaly. And another artifice, fantastic, is the necessity to split the grid momentum in order to take up the the omega loop in precolic and pregastric. Never necessary with a robot. And with this rigor, and we ask the pharmacy in order to establish the independent comparison established by our pharmacians in cost per procedure model to match laparoscopy with robotic. And do you remark that with the same operative time, with the same hospital stay, robotic procedure is less expensive, around the 360 euros in Luxembourg. Another example is sleeve. These guys talk about the perfect sleeve. This is the prestigious people. But believe me, it is the perfect sleeve. Because the perfect sleeve is the perfect stapling. And this type of stapling is obtained in all cases with the robot. And this study, published in British Journal of Surgery, this is the global benchmarking, shows that robotic sleeve gastrectomy outperforms laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy with a comparable duration of the intervention. And about thinking and reflecting, real robotic 3-arm sleeve gastrectomy exists. With this manner, it's possible to compare that with the same performed by laparoscopy. And this is the conclusion, is less expensive to compare with laparoscopy. For that, the real robotic sleeve gastrectomy for us is robotic. Well, let's use the concept of usefulness, and with the robot including all the patients, like this, or the giants of the north, of the little one of the south, of the class 5, 260 kilos, and BMI around 88, require the very complex surgeries association with the association of the sleeve, SADI, SASI, and other ones. Do you remark that the average length of stay for all patients, is the 27 hours in our hospital? It's very important because our director, Dr. Martin Gergen, talk about that. The patient, okay, in the center, okay, but sustainable. And in our hospital, the cost of the hospitalization is enormous. I cannot finish without telling you, for the purist, 3 items. Sometimes people not consider obesity like to high complexity surgery because people consider just the anthropometrics condition of the patients. 88 of BMI, 200 or 300 kilos. But the majority of these patients have many severe comorbidities, and we are in the obligation to have a success in your surgery. Second one, talking before DVXI is absurd. It's absurd because this robot is superior to the others. And it's necessary to live in the real world. And for that, I would like to show you that today in the United States, 40% of all bariatric metabolic surgery is performed by robotics. 30% of the gastric bypass in France are performed by robotic surgery, 70% in Luxembourg. Accessibility includes the cost, and the cost is the problem. Is the problem, I am the surgeon, and my role is not to look for the money, okay? And cost, the real cost of people, this is the real cost in Luxembourg. More than a robot. Lower cost model is coming, and the match, because it's possible to perform the cost per procedure match laparoscopy is coming too. Today, real robotic metabolic and bariatric surgery is extremely standardized. Dry surgery, ideal stapling, safe, particularly in the revision procedures. He has eliminated 2-stage surgery, decreased learning curve, of ideal implementation, optimized major ambulatory surgery is lower cost in surgery package. Yes, I changed. In 1988, I think that less is often more, but since 2018, I think simplicity is the better, like to Albert or Leonardo. And I disagree totally with Michel Gagné, my friend, because I think that robotic is totally different from laparoscopic surgery. Because robotic is that. This is the thinking about Jordi Tarasco, my friend, and myself too. Well, today, totally convinced, I am robotic surgeon. I am not corrupt. I am not traitor. I am not aging. But after 35 years of advanced laparoscopic surgery, I think that robotic is better. And my friends, in healthcare, added value is the price a society is willing to pay to implement a service. Thank you very much for your attention.
Evet, bu güzel video sunumu için Doktor Azagra'ya teşekkür ediyoruz.